much bigger crowd than I anticipated.
Because they knew you were coming.
That's right. I messed up. Wait till you see it. Okay, I apologize everyone that we're running on Jewish time. Which I guess is kind of like our Latino time. Oh, if anyone has a cell phone, including me, if you could turn it down, the ringer down, or turn it off, that would be great. In respect for our musicians, I don't care. I'm going to. It sounds like a boat. 11 minutes. Lucky 11. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. If you have food, you're welcome to bring it downstairs. And we'll wait for you. Hello, Miss Deb. You want to sit next to Eileen?
I don't mind where you can sit.
They have. Oh, okay. You have a piece of paper.
I don't know why. It was the next one.
It was. That's amazing.
You're lucky to go. And you. I'm Cheryl. How are you? How's your wonderful family? Thomas will be here. She's graduated. Oh yeah.
Would you guys like to start with your? Oh no, you need Susan.
Where's our
She's
leader,
downstairs.
Susan?
What?
Where's our leader?
Okay, she's our leader.
Helping position some food.
Oh, position. That's so important. Food is the most important. This is where patience is a virtue.
Tis true.
Comes in.
My congregations get to practice it a lot.
Right. Okay.
They keep
We're just waiting for
me to show up.
Susan. Oh, I get to take this off. There she is. The beautiful Shayla Butasic.
Yay.
Hi, Miss Shay.
Boy, we have more than a quorum.
Are you sure?
Fairly. Shay.
Well, that time will be a lot easier, I bet.
Hi. Okay. When I call you, you can either read this one if you like. This is by Rudolph Steiner. Well, you can choose. I'm going to let you sit down with it and choose. Or you can read this pretty one, Psalm 139. Or you can just announce that they're both very nice and very PC. PC. They're very PC. And you can read them first. Well, it looks very
The cradle song is on 2 pages.
Yes. Yeah, we're all out of order. I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, perfect.
Three.
Jessica. Thank you for coming out today to our Hanukkah celebration. We're so grateful to have you here. We were just treated to a piece called The Candle Song, which was played by the Bloomsburg Early Music Ensemble, featuring Susan Brooke, and Richard Brooke, and Marty Rowell, and our own Susan Schwartz. So thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. You don't know. As I hope you will all clap for me when I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, thank you all for waiting for our service to begin. We like I said, we run on Jewish time, so we have often have a little bit of a delay, but we thank you so very much for your patience. Our service this afternoon is not really going to be like a regular service. It's really more of just a festive celebration of the Hanukkah holiday. I want to welcome our guests. I see we have some young guests here and their companion. Thank you so much for coming today. We are a very small congregation, so we're grateful for any interest shown in the Jewish faith and celebrations by the community. So thank you both, three of you, very much for being here, and also other visitors who I may not know. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a fairly short program, maybe 30 minutes, a little bit longer, depending on how chatty everybody feels. And then we're going to go downstairs, where we're going to have a celebration. We have Eileen Anderson, thank you so much for the beautiful decorations. And we have a children's craft, and then lots of good food. And usually when we get together for our services on Friday night, if you decide to come back again, they are followed by a vegetarian potluck. So it's a very nice evening. We spend about an hour in the sanctuary and then go down, do our blessings, and have a congregational meal, which is always very pleasant. And then after that, since the candles are usually lit at sunset, and it's still daylight out, after we eat, we'll come up and we have this amazing menorah brought by Ken. And it is, does anybody know what night it is of Hanukkah? It's the 8th one. Hanukkah lasts for 8 nights, and tonight is the 8th one, so we should have a mighty fire here this evening. Ken, may I ask you, where did you get this? This is so unusual.
It's creative.
You made it. You made it. Kind of like you made that harpsichord over there?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Hello there, welcome. Well, thank you so much for bringing that. Yeah, that's not something you see at the Giant, is it? No, I don't think so. So as I said, we'll have our short program, welcome. We'll have our celebration downstairs, and then we'll come up for a brief candlelighting. Okay, so I would first like to invite Eileen Anderson to come up, who is going to be reading a brief story of Hanukkah, and this is a children's book, is that right?
Yes.
If the you can
Real loud. I know how to project.
Just be careful. Okay, thank you, Eileen. And then this book will be, I know it's just a small book. The pictures are lovely, right?
Yes.
So it'll be available for you guys to look at after.
Right, and there's some more books downstairs as well. For 8 nights, each winter, Jews all over the world celebrate a holiday filled with light. And this holiday is called Hanukkah. Sometimes Hanukkah is also called the Festival of Lights. Every Hanukkah, Jews remember an amazing story. They remember events that happened more than 2,000 years ago. And the story begins in Judea, in an ancient land of Israel. The Jewish people had lived in Judea for hundreds of years, but they had not ruled over the land for many years. The Jews were not soldiers or kings. They were farmers and shepherds. They were teachers and merchants, and a group of people called the Syrian Greeks ruled over Judea. The Syrian Greeks and the Jews followed different religions. The Syrian Greeks believed in many gods. The Jews believed in one God. But the Syrian Greeks and the Jews, they lived together in peace. The most holy place for the Jews in the city of Jerusalem, high on a hill, stood the temple. Jews traveled from far away to visit the temple. They came there to celebrate their holidays. And inside the temple was a beautiful lamp called a menorah. It had 7 places that burned special oil. The menorah was made of gold and burned day and night. A bright light reminded the Jewish people of their God. Everything one day changed for the Jews when a cruel new ruler gained power in Judea, and his name was Antiochus IV. Antiochus saw how different the Jews were from the Syrian Greeks, and he disliked different ways. He wanted them to follow the Greek religion and pray to the Greek gods. Some Jews listened to Antiochus, but most of them shut their ears, and Antiochus grew angry, and he made a new law that said the Jews could not pray to their God. They could not celebrate their holidays. If they did, they would be arrested and killed. This new law did not change the Jews, however. Most of them just prayed to their God. Antiochus grew angrier and angrier. He ordered his soldiers to break into the temple. The soldiers put statues of Greek gods inside. They broke down the pots of special oil. They knocked over the beautiful gold menorah, and the light in the temple went out. Many Jews ran away from Jerusalem. They hoped to keep their religion in secret, but Antiochus sent soldiers after them, and a Jewish leader named Mattathias would not give in. Mattathias lived in a small town outside Jerusalem. Him and his 5 sons decided to fight. They would become soldiers for the Jewish people. Other Jewish farmers joined him in his fight. But as he grew to be an old man, he soon died. His son Judah became their new leader. People called him Judea Maccabee. Maccabee means hammer in Hebrew, the language of the Jews. Judea's army was called the Maccabees, the hammers. The Maccabees were strong, but Antiochus' army was stronger. Antiochus had many soldiers and horses. His soldiers had powerful weapons. They even had elephants. They had been taught to fight. The Maccabees were a small group of farmers. They did not have horses, certainly not elephants. Their only weapons were farming tools, but they were not afraid, and they would not give up. The Jewish people fought for 3 long years. They would not quit. Their army was always smaller and smaller. Then the army of Antiochus. But something amazing happened. Judea Maccabee and his small army beat Antiochus' powerful army. They won the battle to be free. It was a miracle. The Jews believed that their God had helped them win the fight and their war for freedom. Jewish men and women marched right into Jerusalem. They went straight to the temple, and it was in ruins. There was grass growing inside. The statues of the Greek gods were still there, and shattered pots of oil lay on the ground. The Jews tidied up all the grass. They took out the statues. They cleaned up their temple, and they rededicated the temple to God. They made the temple holy again for God. Judy Maccabee lit the menorah and brought back the light. He called for a day to be a new holiday. He named the holiday Hanukkah, the Hebrew word for dedication. He commanded the Jewish people to celebrate Hanukkah every year. And there was another miracle happened on that first Hanukkah. They say Judy Maccabee could find only a single pot of pure oil for the menorah. It was just enough to last one night. But the oil burned for 8 days. That small bit of oil lasted long enough for the Jews to make more oil. The Jewish people today celebrate Hanukkah every year. They remember the miracle and their fight for freedom. Sometimes Hanukkah comes at the end of November, and sometimes it comes in December. But it always begins on the same day of the Hebrew calendar, the calendar of the Jews. It begins on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev. That day is the same day that Judy Maccabee lit the menorah in the temple for 8 days and nights. And the Jewish families light their own menorahs when the first star appears. Hanukkah has 9 candles, one for each night, and the one in the middle is the shamas. Shamas means helper in Hebrew. The shamas is used to light all the other candles. Have a very happy Hanukkah.
Wonderful. Okay, now we will have the piece Me Yimalel, Who Can Retell, performed by our ensemble.
Brief change in program. We're going to do Song of Thanksgiving because that's what we have up. We don't want to keep you guys any longer. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 1 and 2 and.
Oh, okay, that's good for me, that I know it's done. So we'll switch them around.
Yep.
Okay, super. Okay, now I would like to ask my friend Leslie Mastroianni to please come up to the Bima. This is what we call the Bima. She's going to talk to us a little bit about her Hanukkah
reflections. And then we'll all get a chance to share. Yeah, come right up over here.
It's my supplies all set up.
Okay, you get yourself set up, you take your time. Thank you. Your way.
Thank you. All right, all set. Oh, yeah. Good idea, thank you. Jessica has very graciously asked me to write a memoir of what it was like for me growing up in Pittsburgh on Hanukkah at this time of year, and this is what I wrote. The title of this is Ham on Hanukkah. I am a born storyteller. If I were living in a different place and time, I would have been constantly in a company of grandmothers, mother, aunts, and cousins. I would follow them around all day long and be present when they told me about their childhoods, marriages, babies, and friends. I would listen closely to their stories, being aware of the fact that I had to memorize all this, and I could, in turn, have to tell these stories to members of my tribe. I'm not exaggerating when I say that my early life was, for the most part, just like that. I grew up in a tight matriarchal clan consisting of my maternal grandmother, head of the clan, along with her sister, their children, and eventually their grandchildren. They lived in Pittsburgh, no more than 3 miles away from each other, and they all talked to each other every day on the phone. What does this have to do with ham on Hanukkah? Some years ago, I was sitting in our truck in the passenger seat, riding down Main Street. When we stopped at that big square where the fountain is, I turned and looked at the shop that sells wedding dresses. In the window, a dress sat, all by itself, and it was made of gold-colored cloth, a dress of gold. At that moment, I experienced a flash, a picture, and some words, a beautiful dress of gold. When I was 11, my young aunt got married, and I was taken to Kaufman's department store in Pittsburgh, where I tried on a dress of gold. Please, Mom, please, don't say it's too old for me. Please don't say it costs too much. Please. No worries, I got my dress, and then I knew, in that flash, while sitting in our truck, that it was time for me to be a storyteller. When I got home, I sat down and wrote the story of the dress of gold. After that, as fast as I could, over a period of weeks, I wrote about 50 stories, both from my mom's and my dad's sides of the family. This Hanukkah story was included. My own family, my mother and dad's sides, were polar opposites. The Goldings, my father's side, were well-to-do, upwardly mobile, solidly successful in their chosen careers, did not like animals, practiced Orthodox Judaism. They tended to be stiff and had a tough time relating to children. They did not read books. Even my grandmother, a demure Orthodox Jewish wife, held a job outside her home. She worked as a travel agent. Mr. Borkin, the owner of this place, let my grandmother off early on Friday so she could go home and prepare for Shabbos. Our grandfather always looked at our report cards from school. One time I got a B in social studies, and he said to me, "Goldings don't get B's in social studies." My mother's side, the Reed-Board Silverberg clan, were poor people who owned a general store in Woods Run, a forgotten neighborhood that had been situated along the Allegheny River. They all were crowded into rooms above the store, two extended bunches of relatives, a true clan, there was no money. Nobody went to college. Nobody even visited downtown Pittsburgh. But they knew how to relax, have fun, listen to music, dance, and play cards. They enjoyed having children around. None of them were hard workers, and they would grab at any chance to what the British call skiving off from work. My own family was moderate in their practice of Judaism. My father kept away as much as he could from being devout and observant, although he never went to synagogue. He was a wonderful father, but he had grown up with too much orthodoxy. In our community, though, everybody respected him. We did have a menorah, and we lit candles, and as usual, we did get 8 small presents. Every night we got one, plus one big present, what we call that. Something we really, really wanted badly. Okay. My mother would say, "Oh, Leslie has such a beautiful voice. She should sing the blessing over the candles every night." So I did. It's important to say here that my sister and I had to uphold certain rules about spending at Hanukkah time. Our parents told us to try to stay within what we received as an allowance. But when I think back to those times, I recall, whoops, I'm going to skip a part here. But when I think back to those times, I recall that part of the fun of going Hanukkah shopping was adhering to a budget. It was a challenge. So, getting ready for Hanukkah was full of joy and expectations. Because we owned only one car, and our father always had it to go to work, we, my mother, sister, and me, took a bus to downtown Pittsburgh after school and shopped for gifts. The bus always felt crowded and jolly at this time of year, as the bus driver negotiated those hair-raising Pittsburgh turns and potholes. The bus would lunge and shake everybody up. As many people comment these days, the way we used to celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas was so simple, so innocent. My sister and I were taken to Gilman's department store in downtown Pittsburgh, one of 3 department stores, and that was the cheapest. We bought a single package of handkerchiefs for our grandfather, a booklet of tickets you could use to pay for a taxi ride, inexpensive pen and pencil sets of balls and jacks for our cousins. One night of Hanukkah, we gathered with my father's family and exchanged presents, and the Goldings, for once, were happy, full of laughter and fun. They made me sing the blessing over the candles, too. Something I've always liked about Jewish families and about Jewish people in general: parents want their children to be well-rounded. Top grades are most important, but after that, there was a certain amount of pressure on all of us children to learn a skill aside from academics. Poise among other people counted for a lot. So, I had my piano lessons for 7 years, and my sister had a drama class. So, when I sang the blessing over the Hanukkah candles in Hebrew in front of the whole Golding family, my grandparents half closed their eyes, leaned back in their chairs, and murmured praise for me. And my parents and my aunt and uncle smiled. When my grandfather opened his modest gifts from us, he'd say, "Oh my, would you look at this package of handkerchiefs? This is just what I need for going to my office every day." When we asked him when his birthday was, he would always say, "I don't celebrate my birthday the way that people in the United States do. All I care about is that I was born on the last night of Hanukkah, the 2nd of Tevet, which is tonight." I always got at least one book as a gift. People knew I loved to read. And sometimes an article of sports equipment as well. No dolls for me, and my tomboy friends. We played as hard as the boys did. And at the end of summer, the few balls we owned were thoroughly worn out. During Hanukkah, before dusk and candlelighting time, I would run outside to meet my two friends, and we'd exult over the fact that one of us got a new soccer ball. On my street, all equipment and toys were shared. There is something that needs to be noted here. Kaufman's department store, Pittsburgh's favorite place to shop, had gorgeous, gorgeous window displays, red ribbons on everything, toy trains, Santa Claus, Christmas trees, dolls dressed in red and green. And I looked at these windows in passing, and I had the urge to say, oh, how beautiful. Please, can we just stop and look? But I felt guilty having these thoughts, because even though I was a child, I knew these shining displays were not for us. That's not what we do. It's not our holiday. I never could put this into words when I was young, but something within ourselves, though, sensed our mother pulling us away from these exhibitions of the holiday of Christmas. But it made sense in a way. Our whole world was made up of Jews, and we didn't ponder on this all that much. We just got pulled away. Finally, we had a night at my other grandmother's house, my mother's side. There was no menorah, and my sister and I were the only children there because my young aunts hadn't had children yet. We did get lots of presents, and my grandmother cooked a ham with a Jell-O mold. As I got older, I asked, why are we having ham on Hanukkah? It felt wrong. By then I knew a lot about Jewish dietary rules due to the fact that I spent so much time with my Orthodox grandparents. And my grandmother said in my ear, whispering, listen, love, where we used to live in Woods Run, we were the only Jews. All the other families had ham on Christmas, and we didn't want the children to feel left out, so we have ham on Hanukkah. I thought this was a good plan. I was a strong advocate of equality. However, my name in the family was question box because of my endless curiosity about everything, and I thought my grandmother was more wonderful than ever for giving me such a satisfying answer to yet another one of my questions. Everybody.
Here's your mask.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Leslie. Oh my goodness, there's so much in that. So much of what you said rings true for me, and probably several other folks here. I always joke, because we do have some children in the audience, that you know, kids think, wow, Jewish kids are so lucky. They have Christmas is one night, and the Jewish kids have 8 nights of Hanukkah. Well, to tell you the truth, it wasn't all that exciting. I mean, there was an excitement that sometimes I think we've lost in our society. We've lost it a little bit. Like Leslie was talking about, I got 7, started going about materialism, but just for the sake of argument and comparison, 7 little gifts. 7 little gifts, like a pack of underwear. And I joke, I get the left sock on Monday and the right sock on Tuesday, right?
And then the left shoe and then the right.
That's right, exactly. And you'd be darn grateful that that right shoe came in, right? But that one gift, and that's what I have 2 children, and that's what I do. I do one gift. That one gift, like Leslie was talking about, I thought all year about that one gift. what in my heart did I truly, truly want? And I also remember growing up in Brooklyn and going to the toy store. This was before computers, before you could type in what you wanted and it would magically appear in a box on your front door. You had to physically go to the store and look at everything right in front of you and all the shelves. And I got to pick out only one thing. And that was a beautiful lesson, I think, because it was a lesson in, like you said, budgeting, and it's a lesson in decision making, right? That you can't have everything that you want. You can only have one thing. But one thing we do get tonight is we can have the light tonight that we can share from all of these candles. And that's really what the gift of Hanukkah is the gift of light, and the gift of hope, and the gift of sharing that we're all doing together. The presents are special, but they're really just a small part of the holiday. So Leslie, thank you so very much for sharing your experience and from your heart. That was very, very beautiful. Thank you. So why don't we continue on with another piece by our beautiful ensemble, and this one will be the
Now we will do Who Can Retell.
who can retell. Thank you.
One, two, three, four. Tonight, these are traditional Jewish tunes that are played at this time of the year. This piece that our group just played, Mi Yamalel, is called in English, Who Can Retell? And all of these works actually do have lyrics that go with them. The lyrics to this are, who can retell, the things that befell us? Who can count them? In every age, a hero or sage came to our aid. Hark! In days of yore in Israel's ancient land, brave Maccabeus led the faithful band. But now, all Israel must as one arise, redeem itself through deed and sacrifice. Thank you again. And now we will have a few poems read by one of our members, Shay Butasic. Thank you so much, Shay.
I just wanted to say, talking about Hanukkah and ways of celebrating, I have 5 children, and I always lived in a place where I was the only Jewish child. And luckily my birthday was December 20th, so I could go to school and say, when everyone said, oh, I got a doll, or I got whatever they got, I'd say, oh yeah, I got, you know, a toy, and so I always was uncomfortable, but with my own children, it was kind of silly in retrospect, but I decided we were going to have Saint Hanukkah. So Saint Hanukkah would bring presents every night, and they were small presents, of course, but we would wrap all the presents, my husband and I, the night before Hanukkah, and when the kids would come down the first night of Hanukkah, all the presents would be there. So I kind of created my own festive Hanukkah, because when I was growing up, as we discussed before, I was lucky to get pennies, I think, for Hanukkah. It was Hanukkah, they called it Hanukkah Gelt, and that was it. So I decided, even though at the time we were living in a totally Jewish neighborhood in New Jersey, where I really didn't have to do that, that I was going to make a huge fuss over Hanukkah, and I did do that. So anyhow, I'll get on with the poetry, and the first poem that I'm going to read is called Children, and it is a poem by Rudolf Steiner. From my head to my feet, I am the image of God. From my heart to my hands, I feel the breath of God. When I speak with my mouth, I follow God's will. When I behold God everywhere, in mother, father, in all dear people, in beasts and flowers, in tree and stone, nothing brings fear but love to all that is around me. So it's a short poem. And the next one is Psalm 139. Where can I go then from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I climb up to heaven, you are there. If I make the grave my bed, you are there also. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will cover me, and the light around me turn to night. Darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day. Darkness and light to you are both alive. I will thank you because I am marvelously made. Your works are wonderful, and I know it well. I have to say I wasn't familiar with either one of those poems, but they're both very lovely. Thank you.
Okay, so now I get to take over for a minute. For crying out loud, our next segment is going to be Hanukkah jokes and riddles. Now, all of these Hanukkah jokes and riddles came from utterly clean children's sites on the internet. So I'm hoping that absolutely no one will be offended by any of these jokes, but I'm sure that somebody will be.
That's their problem.
And that's their... Everybody knows that Jews have a really great sense of humor. I'm a good example of that, right, Susan? Susan is my Ed McMahon. to my Johnny Carson, for those of you who are old enough to know this. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a riddle. I better mark, no, I'll remember. What's the best Hanukkah gift for someone who has everything? Now this really plugs into what you said, Leslie. For someone who has everything, the best Hanukkah gift. Anyone take a guess? What?
Nothing.
Nothing! That's depressing. No. A burglar alarm. I picked these out myself. I didn't write them. All right. This is stupid. I only had a short selection and a short amount of time. What did the older Hanukkah candle say to the younger one? The older Hanukkah candle, meaning the one that came earlier, say to the younger one?
I'm leaving you.
I'm leaving you. Okay, I like that. That's wrong, but I like that very much. Very good idea. Anyone else?
You didn't. I feel kind of short.
Oh, yes, that's right. I feel kind of short. That's excellent. Also wrong, but very good. Very good. You're too young to smoke. Okay, last riddle. I know. What? No telling. Those people who know this.
I would never spoil a joke, Jessica.
Okay. What do you call the speck that falls into the latke pan? That's the potato pancakes you'll be eating downstairs. What do you call the speck that falls into the latke pan? Anyone guesses?
Potato.
Oh, very good. Hot potato. No, not the answer, but very good guess. An unidentified frying object. I like that one. That was my favorite. That's my favorite. All right. Now, okay, this was the one. Oh, no, wait. One more riddle, okay? How much Hanukkah gelt, that's money, how much Hanukkah gelt did the skunk get? So, somebody's got to be able to answer this one.
1 cent.
Very nice. Very nice. Excellent. Genius. Super. Okay, now we got a couple jokes. This is also really stupid, but I think it's kind of funny. The day after Hanukkah, a man walks into the doctor's office. He has a banana stuck in one ear, a carrot sticking out of the other ear, and a stick of celery up his nose. He says to the doctor, "Doc, this is awful. What's wrong with me?" The doctor replies, "Well, now that the holiday is over, you need to start eating right." Okay. Next one, better. Next one's gonna be better. All right, ready? I like it. Okay. Now, this joke is actually on the wall at Ben's Deli in Manhattan. It's an oldie, but a goodie. Don't be offended. This is fun. During the first night of Hanukkah, 2 elderly Jewish men were sitting in a wonderful deli frequented almost exclusively by Jews in New York City. They were talking amongst themselves in Yiddish. A Chinese waiter, who'd only been in New York for a year, came up and in fluent Yiddish with a perfect accent, asked them if everything was okay and if they were enjoying the holiday. The Jewish men were dumbfounded. Where did he ever learn such perfect Yiddish? They asked each other. After they paid the bill, they asked the restaurant manager, an old friend of theirs, "Where did your waiter learn to speak such fantastic Yiddish?" The manager looked around and leaned in so no one else could hear and said, "Shh, he thinks we are teaching him English." He'll be trilingual. Trilingual, right? Trilingual. Excellent. Okay, anyone offended, talk to me later. Okay, next. Okay, and one last one. It was just before Hanukkah, and Miriam, a grandmother, was giving directions to her grown-up grandson, who was coming to visit with his wife for the first time since Miriam had moved to her new apartment. "You come to the front door of the condominium complex. I am in apartment 3A, Miriam told her grandson. "There's a big panel on the door. Use your elbow to push button 3A, and I will buzz you in. Come in thumb, and the elevator is on your right. Get in the elevator and use your elbow to press the 3 button. When you get out, my apartment is on the left. Use your elbow to ring my doorbell, and I'll open the door for you." "Grandma, that sounds easy," her grandson replied. "But why am I hitting all these buttons with my elbow?" Miriam answered. "You coming to visit empty-handed?" All right, that's a Jewish mother joke. If you don't have a Jewish mother, that may just have gone right over your head. But the idea is that that's why I always feel guilty when I go to my friend Deb's house, or maybe to Leslie's house, or anybody else's house. I don't have anything. You're always taught to bring something.
And you still come anyway.
Right. I still come.
And you use your elbows, right?
That's right. Yeah.
When
Well,
you're
then I
yourself,
come.
that counts for something.
Right. I come bearing a joke, right?
You are the gift.
Okay. So, for sake of time, we are going to pass over the song. We'll pass over, it's another holiday, and do it after we light the Hanukkah lights. Let's do the dreidel song, and then we have one more thing, and then we're going to go eat. Okay?
This one's my favorite.
That's actually the dreidel song, right?
That was the
Dreidel-
dreidel song.
Yes, it is the dreidel song.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Not the dreidel song most of us know about the clay and the dreidel, blah, blah, blah. But
This one's better.
this one, yes, it is better, and it does have words, and, what?
Yep.
That's right, Sevi Bong, so, very good. So if you come next year, no, I have it right. Little dreidel, spin, spin, spin. Hanukkah is a day of joy. Great was the miracle, that happened there. Spin, little dreidel. Spin, spin, spin. Very good. And you spun that very well.
It sounds like a dreidel going drunkenly, right?
Very well.
It's great.
Now, you know what? We have a very special guest star who was not originally on the program. He came from Israel, and he's coming right now. So everybody has to close their eyes. Can everybody close their eyes? Okay, you have to promise me to close your eyes. He's coming in the building right now. And everybody, open your eyes. We know you. Hello. Hello. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Some of you know me. I am a very, very famous chef. My name is Chef Pierre Rabinowitz. I am also a star on the popular channel, the Judo channel. You ever heard of Judo? Judo. Anyway, it's so great to be here with you tonight. And normally you can find me downstairs cooking up a storm, you know. But our friend Ken is going to be making the latkes, the delicious, hot and crispy potato pancakes. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I feel I'm a bit muffled, I don't know why. But okay, glad you can hear me. Because what I want to do tonight is I have written you a poem to celebrate Hanukkah. And I'm going to read it. Well, I've memorized it actually. I'm going to tell you this poem because deep in my heart, I am so glad to be here with you all. I love this spectacular holiday and the warmth of the people here in Bloomsburg. Are you all ready? Yeah. You ready for my poem? Yes? Okay, here we go. Okay, here it is. To toil over oil, to fry a sheer delight, to commemorate the victory of the Maccabeans' might. Latkes are like butter. They're like butter, I tell you. I eat them every night. Ah, those crispy edges are really out of sight. When I am in Israel, I eat sufganiyot. So many jelly donuts, my tummy, it does bloat. That's a pretty good rhyme, no?
Yeah.
Bloat sufganiyot, I tell you. Okay. How I love to play at Hanukkah. I take out all my dreidels, and then I host a party and invite just the Shana Madels. Okay, you don't speak Yiddish, you maybe missed that. Throughout all this eating and the merrymaking too, I think about the honor of being born a Jew. As Jews, we fight for freedom and for everybody's right to practice their religion and to see by candlelight. Do you believe in miracles? I know the children do. The elements of God's power that work through me and you. So as we come together, Bloomsburg Jews and all our friends, we join in love and understanding on which our world depends. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. the plans. Close your eyes. Open your eyes! Yay! Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Please head downstairs to our dining hall to have some food. And then we'll see you up here for our candle lighting when the lights go down.